Welcome in, everybody, to, I believe, the 13th episode of the Free Play Podcast. I am the host, Evil Eye Scales, and it's March, baby. We officially have March Madness rounds in the books. We had the round of 64 and the round of 32 this weekend, moving into the Sweet 16. We know where the bracket lies. We know where the potential Cinderellas are, and it's March. It's a great time. And college basketball is thriving right now. So starting off in the round of 64, we had Thursday, March 19th. We had a lot of pretty good games. This day certainly better than Friday. The next day after, we got probably the biggest upset of the tournament so far, at least from a seeding perspective, in High Point beating Wisconsin. Now, High Point was a team that I loved going into Selection Sunday, and I had definitely circled as a potential Cinderella because of how many turnovers they can force and just overall how good of a team they've been this entire year in the Big South. But I thought Wisconsin was a bad draw for them. Wisconsin's insanely good at preventing turnovers, preventing themselves from turning the ball over, and that's mostly due because the experienced backcourt they have in Nick Boyd and John Blackwell. Those are two guys that are very good at taking care of the ball and very good, just dominant guards. And that's really what you need to win in March. I didn't think Wisconsin would be that good of a matchup for High Point. So in my bracket, I did have Wisconsin winning this one over High Point. But they surprised me. I mean, High Point out-rebounded Wisconsin. They turned the ball over less, which is pretty crazy considering that High Point is they're really good at taking care of the ball, don't get me wrong, but Wisconsin's been one of the top teams in the country all season long at taking care of the ball, so that really surprised me. And overall, they shot the three ball pretty well, which is something that High Point has struggled at times to do this year, but 37.5% from three, solid on the game from High Point, and really they were kind of carried by their two most dominant players being Rod Martin and Cameron Fletcher. Fletcher has been around in college basketball for a long time, former high-level recruit. Rod Martin is so fun, such a twitchy small guard that can really make his presence felt and he can blow games open. Like we almost saw it in the round of 32. He gave Arkansas so much trouble, and they needed to rely on Darius Acuff to keep them in the game and win them that game. But I mean, 23 points, 10 assists on the game for Rod Martin. I mean, just a complete stud. And, he reminds me so much of a little bit taller version of Marquise Noel. I mean, the guy is electric. He's so fluid with the ball in his hands. He's so tough at finishing around the rim. He does not back down from any challenges, and he takes it with authority to the cup, which is something you definitely like out of a guy guy of that size. And overall, down the stretch, I mean, Wisconsin just kind of faltered a little bit. I mean, they kept giving up big threes to High Point, especially Cameron Johnston. I mean, what a stud. This guy, the conviction to pull that ball from half court with around, I believe, 5 minutes left, and you're down by 7 against Wisconsin. I mean, the dude just pulled it from half. Cameron Johnston with 14 points, 4 for 6 from 3. I mean, and then not to mention scoring the game-winning point layup, where that was his first two-pointer of the entire season. I mean, this guy is up there with Jack Golke for some of the best shooting performances we've ever seen in March. This guy was dominant down the stretch for High Point, and he was really the difference maker because he kind of willed them into this opportunity here. I mean, just looking back at this timeline of events, he had that 34-foot three. Then he goes in and makes a 24-foot three under a minute left, and then 11 seconds left in the game, he makes the game-winning layup. I mean, just a terrific sequence from Cameron Johnston, which ended up being the difference for this High Point squad down the stretch. Now, unfortunately, they did get bounced on Saturday by Arkansas, but they gave them another crazy good fight. I mean, without Darius Acuff dropping 34, this was a game that High Point would have won. I mean, Cameron Fletcher with 25, Rod Martin going band for band with the future lottery pick, Darius Acuff. I mean, Johnston struggled a little bit more in this one, only 3 for 8 from 3, 9 points on the game, but Rod Martin with 34 and 5. Cameron Fletcher had a big game, 25, 8, 2, and 2. I mean, and then, of course, Terry Anderson's been dominant for them all season long. Forward, 15, 5, and 6, filling up the stat sheet for them. He's definitely a guy that I've been overrating while talking about this game. But, I mean, Cameron Fletcher, I believe he still has another year of eligibility left, potentially. He's a guy who started his college career in 2021. I mean, this phenomenal fight from this High Point squad. I mean, I was very impressed. I knew they had a good shot going into March of potentially being a Cinderella, but I'm not going to lie. When I saw them being matched up with Wisconsin, I did not think it was a good matchup, but happy to be surprised by High Point, and there's our 12-5 that we get every single year. And speaking of 12-5s and that happening every single year, 11-6. Typically, we don't get multiple of these. It's very rare, but I did predict 2 in my bracket. The 2 that happened were not the ones that I actually picked. So that was unfortunate for me and for my bracket, but this VCU North Carolina game, I was a little nervous heading down into the stretch of this one because at halftime, North Carolina was up by 11, 39-28, but credit to them, they responded with a big second half and did what they needed to down the stretch of the game, forcing turnovers and getting clutch baskets and relying on their stars. Terrence Hill Jr., 34-5 on the game. Just stud. Lazar Djokovic, another beast of a season for VCU. He's been one of their guys this entire season long. VCU, they are a very good shooting team, and they pair it with some feisty defense. This is a typical VCU team, even though it's coached by a new guy, Phil Martelli Jr. They just pressure you so much. I mean, you look at some of this stuff, 10 turnovers, 39 rebounds, 5 blocks, 5 steals. I mean, they did get out-rebounded by North Carolina, but that's to be expected when you have a team of the size like North Carolina. Henry Visar is a very big guy they have over there. But I thought this North Carolina team would struggle without Caleb Wilson like we've seen down the stretch of this season, and I was right. It didn't play out exactly how I thought it was going to. I thought there was a decent chance that VCU could blow this game open, and they never did. It was just unfortunate. They kind of got off to a bad start. I mean, North Carolina was up by 19 at one point, so I feel confident that if they didn't dig themselves in that deep of a hole, then there was going to be a very good scenario that VCU would have blown this game open. I mean, they shot 42% from 3. That's the exact recipe for success for a somewhat-ish mid-major team to knock off a team like North Carolina, especially with the injuries that North Carolina had. Especially, it hurts North Carolina when you only shoot 27% from 3. But Henry Visar is an incredible talent for North Carolina, and there's no doubt in my mind that if they still had Caleb Wilson, the trio of Seth Trimble, Henry Visar, and Caleb Wilson, along with Derek Dixon, some of the guys, the role players that they have on that squad, they could have definitely made a deep run into March. It's just unfortunate that Caleb Wilson did go out with the injury. Otherwise, I would have had them going a lot farther in my bracket. Another shocking 11-6 upset to me was Texas over BYU. This was not a matchup that I particularly liked. I didn't know who was going to match up with AJ Dybantsa from the Texas standpoint. And to be honest, I was right. I mean, there's not too many times in college basketball where you see a guy and play 39 minutes, 35 points, 10 boards, 44% from the field, and his team loses, especially by 8 points, not in overtime. I mean, Texas has been incredible down the stretch, and I was not that big of a fan of Texas, only 18-14 on the season. They were in the first 4 for a reason. I didn't think they were that impressive all season long. It seemed like they just kind of got in because of SEC bias, but I mean, you look at their last 2 losses of the season, or last 3 losses, really. I'm not going to fault them for losing to Arkansas by 20 is somewhat alarming. Losing by 3 to Oklahoma and then 10 in the SEC tournament to Ole Miss. I thought they weren't very hot at the time, which is kind of why I faded them in my bracket, but a 2-point win in the first 4 over a very talented NC State squad coached by Will Wade with tournament experience, and then an 8-point win over BYU where AJ DeBanza went nuclear. But Tremont Mark, Dalen Swain, this team has the makings of one of those potential diamond in the rough Cinderellas that is one of those power conference teams that underachieves in the regular season but has the necessary tools and players to make a run in March. So that's something that probably should have looked into a little bit better on my part, but I for certainly did not see them pulling off an upset over Gonzaga, but Jordan Pope had the answers down the stretch for Texas. It seemed like any time Gonzaga pulled it within striking distance, Jordan Pope was there. Anytime Gonzaga pulled it within distance, Jordan Pope was there, making a clutch shot, pulling Texas back up in the lead, and just an impressive performance from Texas. I had counted them out, but that's a reason why we play the games in March. In the last 11-6 that I really liked on this slate was USF Louisville. Now, I had USF. I had when one bracket USF to the Sweet 16. I ended up changing that, had them losing in the round of 32. But I did really like this USF squad. I thought Joseph Pinion, Isaiah Nelson, and Wes Ennis Jr., I thought they had what it took to make a deep run, especially after watching them obliterate the AAC tournament and the remaining stretch of their conference play in the American. I mean, the way that they were able to shut out Kenyon Giles from Wichita State in that American Championship game was impressive. I haven't seen many defensive performances like that where they completely neutralized a guy that's as dominant and volume heavy as Kenyon Giles. He didn't even get shots up, which is an anomaly for a guy like Kenyon Giles, who's not afraid to throw up 25 shots a game. So I thought going into the game, there's a chance that USF would do the same type of thing to Mikhail Brown Jr. from Louisville. Now, Mikhail Brown Jr. didn't even play in the game, so that's honestly, I thought it boded even better for USF, but I wonder if it maybe threw them for a little bit of a loop, knowing that their game plan kind of went by the wayside. Because Ryan Conwell and Isaac McNeely, they had days. 23 points for McNeely, 18 for Conwell. And just overall, a really good shooting game for Louisville, 52% from 3. A historically bad shooting performance from USF. I am not upset with this pick that I made over USF over Louisville. USF has been a really good three-point shooting team all year. For the most part, maybe not really good, but above average, solid. And they shot 15.2% from 3. At one point, I believe they were 4 for 30 on the game or something around there late into the game. It's a miracle that they only lost by 4. So that's how confident I was in this USF squad that they only lost by 4 despite getting outshot that severely. I mean, the front court of USF, I knew that Isaiah Nelson was going to pop off and have a big day because Louisville just has a really bad front court. That's one of their weaknesses for sure on that squad. But I thought there was a very good chance that USF could have won this game despite their shooting troubles, which is certainly something to move forward with and look forward to them. But they did lose their coach, Brian Hodgson, to Providence. So they're going to have to replace him. It'll be interesting to see what USF can do to maybe build on this because they were a phenomenal team down the entire season. And it's just a shame to me because I thought the American was a really good conference this year with teams like Wichita State and Tulsa. The fact that they were able to get one team in and that one team to kind of put up a stinker performance that I know they're better than was a little bit unfortunate to see for them because I knew they had so much more to give. Another kind of toss-up game here that was very interesting. We got blessed and cursed in the first round, the first game. TCU, Ohio State. I had Ohio State in this game. I just simply thought, going down the stretch of the game, you want the better player, and that better player is Bruce Thornton from Ohio State. He's a beast. He's been a beast his entire college career, but he kind of got neutralized in this one. TCU is a very good on-ball defense. They're very pressure-heavy. They rebound the ball well. They out-rebounded Ohio State by 6, and ultimately, Ohio State just didn't have a good shooting day. And that's ultimately what it came down to. You had 3 guys on TCU, Edmonds, Punch, Robinson, that put up big days, each with well into double digits. And Xavier Edmonds is a stud. David Punch is a beast defensively. I mean, these were the guys that they leaned on down the stretch. And overall, I was happy with my Ohio State pick. I thought the process was sound. If they would have just had a better shooting day, which they've typically done on the season, 36% from 3 on the season, I thought there was a good chance that they could have got this done, but never underestimate the Big 12. This TCU team has had very good wins all season long. They beat Florida, who did get upset, but they've beat other good teams throughout the entire year. They beat Iowa State, who looks very, very good right now. And overall, I'm happy with this pick still. I think the process was sound. TCU just played a really good game, and they played their style of ball, and they knocked Ohio State off their game. Unfortunate for Bruce Thornton's career to end that way. He's been a complete stud his entire 4 years at Ohio State, and I think he's going to make for a pretty good pro. Now, the one that did not end in an upset, but I thought was a very intriguing game, and I know a lot of people across the country were watching this one, kind of surprising people at the end of the first half. Duke and Siena, with Siena going into halftime with an 11-point lead, which is absurd. I mean, Duke played a horrible game, especially in the first half. I mean, they turned it around sort of at the end in the last few minutes, which is why they were able to pull it out. But I think ultimately what came back to bite Siena was their lack of ability to play a bench. It's a bold strategy to play against a team as good as Duke, and you have to steal some minutes somewhere. Whether it be when you're about to go into halftime, you have an 11-point lead, you can relinquish a little bit and then have your guys fully rested to go in the second half, or start a bench in the second half, or something to take a little bit of pressure off of these guys from Siena. But they played pretty much full 40 until the very end, the final minute, when the game was out of reach, and they gave them a nice curtain call. But overall, what a fight from Siena. I mean, Gavin Doty was incredible, 21 points. Fulafak with 18. Coyle had some pretty big threes for him down the stretch. He had 12. And overall, I mean, Siena did a great job. They did not turn the ball over. They did get severely out-rebounded, and they were somewhat efficient from 3, only 34%. But, ultimately it was just the tired legs. The tired legs of Siena is what came back and bit them. And if they could have stolen a couple minutes, if Jerry McNamara, their coach, could have stolen a couple minutes here or there throughout the game, giving his guys a little bit of a break, I think there was a chance that we could have been on a first-round 116 upset. But unfortunately, did not work out that way. Still a great fight by Siena, and I would say good for them that they can bounce back next year, but their coach, Gary McNamara, just went to Syracuse. So it's a bit of a tough draw for the mid-majors here, because you taste a little bit of success and your coach is immediately poached to go somewhere else. So I feel bad for Siena. They had a great game, and they definitely gave Duke a run for their money. Gave them a better game than TCU did, for sure. Moving on to the Friday slate, it was pretty chalky for the final day of the round of 64, but we had some close games that just got away at the end. For example, Wright State, Virginia, Akron, Texas Tech was a close game for a little bit. Hofstra, Alabama was a close game for a little bit. Utah State, Villanova was a close game majority of the way. Utah State ended up pulling ahead. The bludgeoning of Miami, Ohio. Tennessee got insanely hot from 3, 45%. Miami, Ohio's luck runs out, 24% from the three-point line. Iowa, Clemson was another good game. Iowa's showcasing the type of tempo that they can play with and controlling and dictating the game, which I thought was important, honestly helped them in the next round with playing Florida. And then Furman. I thought Furman was a good squad that was not worthy of being a 15 seed. I thought they were way better than a 15 seed. They had faced injuries all season long, especially near the conference tournament. They were kind of decimated, but they get some guys back. They go on a run in the conference tournament. They win their conference, and they're able to get in. It was a 15 seed. I thought it was a bad draw for them with UConn, considering that they could have gotten potentially on that 14 line and faced another team like maybe Nebraska or another team potentially. If they maybe even are fully healthy, they can get down to the 13 line and face a team like Kansas, who I think they could have had a real shot at upsetting, or Virginia. But unfortunately, they do pull UConn on the 2 line, and they gave them a good game. Like, at halftime, they only trailed by 4. I mean, this was really one that UConn didn't blow open until the end, only winning by 11. Furman gave them a very tough draw, and just credit to Furman. Great game by them. I think they're going to be back next year without all these injuries, and they're going to be a very good team again to watch for in March. Cal Baptist got down by a lot. I think if this is a game that they don't trail by 26 almost, 26 with 16 minutes left in the second half, I think this is a game that they can potentially win. They played so much better than Kansas in the second half, and Dom Daniels Jr. with 25 points. This guy's a stud. Human video game character. He's a beast. I believe he has another year of eligibility because he started off at a JUCO. So it'll be interesting to see where an undersized guard like him can go and potentially cook up. But 23% from 3. Horrible shooting performance from really both sides, 21% on the KU end. But, I thought Cal Baptist did a really good job of rebounding the ball, especially against the bigs like Flory Badungo for KU, and not turning over the ball. Those were two very important characteristics for these mid-major squads. And Cal Baptist made it very close at the end. It was a very close game, only lost by 8. But, this is a game that kind of got within striking distance for Cal Baptist, and that was really due to Dom Daniels Jr., just a total stud, and I wish we could have seen a little bit more of him this year in March, but hopefully he can maybe transfer up a level or somewhere, and we get to see him again next year because it's always fun seeing the undersized guards like him cook up in March Madness. Moving on here to the Santa Clara, Kentucky game. This was the game of the day, maybe the game of the tournament so far. What a game. Santa Clara gave Kentucky. I mean, the 10-7, I had Santa Clara in this one. Santa Clara is one of the few mid-major squads that can really stack up with the talent level of these power conference teams. I mean, Allen Graves is going to be an NBA draft pick. Allen Graves is going to be an NBA draft pick easily, in my opinion. I think first round is what he's consistently being mocked at, especially just as a redshirt freshman. Crazy good build on him. He's super strong, very tough in the paint. And then, of course, Sash, Mahi, Hammond, Christian Hammond. These are complete studs. Hammond didn't have as good of a game as he's been up to most of the season, but I thought this was still a really good game by Santa Clara. I mean, Graves did face some early foul trouble in the game, which kind of limited the amount of minutes he could play. Only 27 minutes in the game. He did pick up 3 fouls. But that was at halftime. So I thought it was a really good performance by Santa Clara. But unfortunately, the huge 3 at the end by Graves with, I believe, just checking the time here, there was 2.2 seconds left on the clock when he hit that 3 to give them the lead 70-73. So, and that was after Otega Owe made a game-tying layup with 9 seconds on the clock. So that wasn't even the biggest shot from Otega Owe on the game. He's a stud. 26 points, or not even 20. He had... One thing that I think hurt Santa Clara down the stretch of this game was they hit the 3 from Graves, 2 seconds left on the clock, and they seemingly don't see that there's time left. While Santa Clara is celebrating, Otega Owe gets the ball in bounds, runs down the court, half-court heave, bang, makes it. Huge shot from Otega Owe, the brother of new Commanders edge Odafe Owe. I mean, just a very athletic family. 35, 8-7 on the game, and he's been a stud all season long at Kentucky. 18 on the season, and Owe really put the team on his back. I mean, he took them where they needed to be. He kind of made this season not as much of a failure for Kentucky as it really could have, because they really did not play good enough to win this game. I will point this out too. I think they did kind of get hosed by the referees. Santa Clara definitely got the raw end of the deal with the referees. There was multiple times where Herb Sendek from Santa Clara was attempting to call a timeout, and they refused to give it to him. The whistles, the whole entire game seemed to be going to Kentucky. I mean, the foul differential wasn't horrific, but the amount of free throws, I think, was the big deal. We have 21 free throws to 13 free throws on the other side. So Kentucky definitely got a favorable whistle. They got the bonus much earlier than Santa Clara did, which I thought was huge, honestly. And overall, I think there might have been a little bias by the refs trying to keep Kentucky, the brand of Kentucky, in the tournament still. But I think almost 9 times out of 10, this game gets played. Not only is it a great game 9 out of those 10 times, but I think Santa Clara pulls it out more often than not. I think they were the better team, but unfortunately, it wasn't their day, and they did get eliminated. And it was a shame, because I really would have liked to see what they could have done against a team like Iowa State in the second round. I think they could have given them a very good matchup, certainly a better matchup than Kentucky gave them. Now moving on to, honestly, this is probably the best game of the March Madness slate. Vanderbilt, Nebraska was an incredible game. This has everything you're looking for. Back and forth play. I mean, the biggest lead was only by Nebraska at 10. Going into halftime, Vanderbilt down by 7. They come out, put up a good second half, pull this thing within reach. And Tyler Tanner, total dog. 27 points on the game for Tyler Tanner. Certainly going to be an NBA player. He'll be an interesting career to watch, because he's not the biggest guy, and he's a liability on defense, but he is a straight-up hooper. He's a bucket. Nickel had some very big threes down the stretch, 5 threes for him. Duke Miles, I wish they would have been able to find a way to get Duke Miles going a little bit more. He's not the greatest three-point shooter, and I think that really showed down the stretch of the game. 1 for 8 from 3. He couldn't make much spacing against Nebraska, and really it was the three guys on Nebraska that held this one down. They shot 47% from 3, and that was largely contributed by Braden Frager, Rank Mast, Price Sandfort. Those guys are studs. Price Sandfort, you talk about being able to shoot it from anywhere on the court. Price Sandfort is that guy. And Braden Frager, the freshman from Lincoln, Nebraska, is the guy that comes up in the final seconds of the game with the layup. And that was, really a crucial moment in this game, being able to get them up by 2 with that time left. You would have thought the game was over, right? You would have thought there's no chance that this thing can possibly go back in the favor of Vanderbilt. But Tyler Tanner, with the rim out of the century, the ball just being a little bit more deflated, we're talking about Vanderbilt in the Sweet 16. But we are talking about Nebraska's first ever trip to the Sweet 16 because of an overinflated ball. I mean, just pure cinema. And Nebraska with a huge win. I picked Troy in the first round of my bracket. Looking back, not very wise decision. Nebraska's a very good team, but they were kind of reeling at the end of the year. So for them to be able to come back in the tournament and pull off 2 big wins like this, I mean, all credit to Nebraska and Hoiberg. Just phenomenal job by him and his coaching staff there. And I'm looking forward to see what Nebraska could potentially do to keep this run going. But Vanderbilt, they had an incredible game. Mark Byington He's a great coach. I think it's only a matter of time before he moves up to another level if he wants to. And he has Vanderbilt rolling these past 2 years, making the tournament after being a laughing stock of college basketball. I believe they had not made the tournament since the early 2000s, 2006 maybe. So, he had Vanderbilt in this thing and coached a very good game against McNeese in the first round as well, leading them to victory in that one. And I think if Byington does stick around at Vanderbilt and Tyler Tanner sticks around at Vanderbilt, which I don't think is likely, but I think it could happen if they give him the right package of NIL, I think this Vanderbilt squad is another team that can just reload and really impress some people next year, and a team that I would consider picking to go far in my bracket again next year. Some other games here we had on the slate here going into Sunday. We had Iowa and Florida. What a game. The first number 1 seed out of the tournament. Florida, they lost to Iowa, in my opinion, solely because they let Iowa dictate the pace of the game. I think if Florida is able to play the brand of ball that they would like to, which is running you up and down the court, being aggressive in the front court, rebounding the ball well, and supplementing shooting where they need to, I think this is a game that Florida walks away with pretty handedly. But the ability that Iowa has with Bennett Sturts to just control the tempo of the game is unreal. Ben McCollum is an incredible coach, and they just have the answers down the stretch of the game in this one. There's nothing really particular that stands out about either team in the turnovers or mistake department, even on the rebounding side, pretty much even in the turnover department. I mean, this was just simply a game that came down to who wanted it more, and I thought there were some questionable coaching decisions in the end by Todd Golden of Florida. I don't know why they're pressing up 2 with 9 seconds left. Did not really make much sense to me, but all credit to Sturts. This is their guy. This is the guy they want taking the final shot of the game, and he passed it off to Fulgaris, and he delivers the corner 3 to win them the game. But I just want to take you back to the final play before the walk-off 3 from Fulgaris. It was Isaiah Brown with 2 free throws where he missed the first one. If he makes that first free throw and puts the second one in like he did, this is a 3-point game, and we're talking about overtime, where my money has it that Florida wins. And just incredible determination by Iowa at the end of the game to continue this one. I mean, they were up by 2 at halftime, biggest lead of 12. There was a point early in the second half where they looked like they could have blown this thing open. Florida crawled back into it, obviously, because they're one of the top teams in the country for a reason. But the persistence by Iowa and the coaching job of Ben McCollum, I mean, the dude just wins. Like, the way he can just keep his team in the games and give them the motivation and everything that they need to succeed. I mean, he is breeding a very good program at Iowa. You can see it happen. He's done it everywhere he's gone. I mean, just the 1 year he was at Drake, they were an incredible team, another team that pulled off an upset. So I think it'll be interesting to see how Iowa will do with how Bennett starts next year. But overall, I think Ben McCollum will have this program heading in the right direction. And being a local guy, it seems like he's going to be in there for the long haul. So we'll see what Iowa can do next. They do play against Nebraska in the Sweet 16 on Thursday. So kind of a fun Big Ten Midwest matchup there with Iowa and Nebraska. So we'll see what they can do there. But another game that was very, very good was Tennessee-Virginia. This was a game, I had Virginia. I thought they were just the better team, ACC ball. They had been very good in, second in the conference, only behind Duke. Tennessee, I wasn't super hot on Tennessee going into the tournament. I thought they were going to get past their first-round game against Miami, Ohio, which they did with ease. But they shoot the ball insanely well when they're hot, and they can really rebound the ball as well. I mean, they have good size on their team with Para, Estrella, Ament, and then they have the horses in the backcourt with Boswell, with Bishop Boswell and Jacoby Gillespie to really put up points in a hurry. And I think having a guy like Jacoby Gillespie who can run your offense and give you a tough bucket or shot whenever you need it is exactly what you need in March. I mean, playing point guard for Rick Barnes is a craft you have to learn, and it takes time. We saw that with Zakai Ziegler, Jordan Bone. We saw it with those guys, and by their senior years, they had mastered it, and they gave them good tournament runs. But Rick Barnes has made the Sweet 16, I believe, the last 4 years at Tennessee, and this team is no exception. Jacoby Gillespie, they said on the broadcast, he finally understands what it means to play point guard for Rick Barnes and what he's asking him to do. There's times to turn it into overdrive. There's times to be the aggressive scorer that they need, and then there's other times where he needs to be back facilitating the offense and leading it. And I think that's what him and Bishop Boswell do so well together, is that there's times when Boswell can be the distributor. There's times when Gillespie can be the distributor, and if one of them needs to step up and score, and they have the hot hand, they can do that. So I think phenomenal coaching job by Rick Barnes. UVA is a good team. I think they're really early on in their program building process, still rebounding from the Tony Bennett era. They have Ryan Odom now. It took a little bit to get to Odom, but I think he's the right guy for the job, and I think he's going to build a very good program there at Virginia in the future. But two guys that have been building programs for a very long time, maybe not at this specific school, but just overall everywhere he goes, builds a powerhouse program. St. John's in Kansas, two of the greatest coaches of all time in Rick Pitino and Bill Self. Say what you want about their coaching histories and their scandals or whatever. These are just two of the greatest masterminds of basketball coaching that we've had on this planet. I mean, Rick Pitino, you can really make the case as the greatest coach of all time. Rick Pitino, you can really make the case as the greatest coach of all time. The amount of turnarounds that he's been able to accomplish in his career, I mean, the amount of times that he's been thrown out to die, and he just comes back and builds up another program. The dude's had to start his career over 3 times, basically. And he just continues to do it every single time. And he's going to coach probably until he falls over, but just an incredible coach. And this game was really ugly at the start. I mean, we go into halftime 34-26. Neither team is shooting well. A lot of air balls, a lot of rebounds. I mean, just some ugly shots and just a lot of flat-out misses and just some uninspiring offensive play from both sides of the ball. But I thought it really hurt KU more because St. John's does not make their bread and butter on the offensive end of the court. It's on the defensive end, and they were able to hold Darren Peterson pretty much at bay for most of the game, but more specifically, the rest of the people on the squad. There was nobody outside of Darren Peterson that really stepped up for KU. Melvin Council did have 15, but I thought there was a little bit more that he could have done throughout the entirety of the game. He didn't really get hot until the end, and overall, I mean, Zuby at Ejiofor, the former Kansas Jayhawk, had a great game for them as usual. 18-9, 4, 1-1. I mean, just a stud. The Big East defensive and player of the year. So I thought this was a game that is just flat out old-fashioned Rick Pitino. I mean, sticking Dylan Mitchell on Darren Peterson had him locked up for most of the game. I mean, Dylan Mitchell's a guy that doesn't even have to be scoring the ball for him to have his impact felt on the game. And then Dylan Darling. I mean, what can you say more about a guy who has 0 points on the game and has the courage and the confidence to go up to Rick Pitino in the huddle and tell him, hey, run that play for me. Run this play. I want the ball, and I'm going to deliver. And that's exactly what Dylan Darling did. The clutch layup at the end of the game, I mean, just masterful. I did think it was a little bit questionable from Rick Pitino at the end to not really attempt to push the ball into the front court with the amount of fouls that KU had to give. I thought they should have pushed the envelope a little bit more, thrown the ball into Ejiofor, given him a shot at the rim, make Badunga or someone foul him up there. But they kind of were just content to let them kind of milk off the clock as much as possible. And I thought there was a little bit more they could have done. They had the ball with 14 seconds left. They allowed KU to foul him 5 times. The clock goes down to, I believe, 3.9 or so on the clock left. And ultimately, that's when Darling made the layup. But I thought there was a little bit better job that Rick Pitino could have done. I mean, he's still a Hall of Fame coach for a reason. Like, he built an incredible game plan for this game, and he pulled the right strings at the end, in my opinion. Whereas Bill Self, I think he should have left Cole Rosario in over Elmarco Jackson. He's just a brutal player, and then Trey White doesn't really do much for him. But Cole Rosario had a very good game. I mean, 5 points. He had the highest plus-minus on the team at +10. Bryson Tiller, -14. So a really rough game for some guys there. And I think Bill Self's rotations are a little bit questionable, which is where I think St. John's kind of exposed them. They were able to take advantage of some guys that were struggling in the KU lineup, and they were able to counter that with some of their guys like Hopkins at Ejiofor, and in the end, Darling, that were confident and were playing well. So ultimately, I think this was a very good slate of March Madness. It wasn't the upset-heavy stuff that we're used to, but it hasn't been that way the last 2 years, and I think the NIL portion has caused a lot of that, in that we're not seeing these teams that are continuing to being built up for years and years and years. Like, we don't see typically the same player make a run at March Madness twice at the same school, mid-major school. I mean, the perfect example of this is Yaxel Lendeberg. I mean, the dude was at UAB and was a complete stud, and he was the type of player that a team like UAB would need to knock off a high major opponent. And he ends up transferring out to Michigan. They're one of the best teams in the country. They look poised to be making a Final Four national championship run. And those are the type of guys that in the past had stayed at their place like USF and were one of the best players in the country. And come tournament time, they were forced to be reckoned with. So ultimately, with more of those players just transferring up and out of their mid-major programs and going to these national powerhouses, I think we're going to start to see the Cinderella-type teams shift from occasionally we may get in a blue moon a 13-4, or where the perfect storm happens, or a 12-5, probably have one every year, or a couple of 11-6s like we have this year. I think the type of Cinderella teams that we're going to see are more of the power conference teams who may underachieve during the regular season comparative to their talent on their team. Think of a team like Cincinnati, who almost made the tournament, or a team like Texas, who's going on this run. I mean, some of these mid-major, almost Tennessee. Like, Tennessee is a very talented squad, probably didn't have the greatest SEC play, but, still, the fact that they're able to go on these runs down the stretch of the season and get hot at the right time, I think those are the type of not mid-majors, but power conference teams that we're going to see making a run in March, opposed to traditional teams like Oakland or some of these mid-majors like High Point that we saw this year. But overall, I don't understand why people are complaining about this. It's March Madness. Crazy stuff is going to happen. It may not be the type of upsets that we want to see, but you're just going to have to face it at this point that the traditional mid-major Cinderella is probably dead, because at any point where those coaches may face a little bit of success, then they're immediately going to be poached and brought up to a bigger school. So ultimately, this was a great opening weekend of March Madness, and the one thing I would say about chalk brackets through the first week is that just sets up better games down the stretch, because how many times have we seen a mid-major run out of gas in the Sweet 16 or Elite 8, like St. Peter's or Loyola Chicago, and just get blown out, and it makes for not as good of a game in the end. So ultimately, I know we all love the March Madness Cinderella teams, the mid-majors, but I think these Cinderella power teams are almost better for the game, and they just add a different type of Cinderella. Texas, I didn't think had any chance of getting past Gonzaga, yet they did. Now they're going to go take on Purdue, and I think they have a pretty decent shot at winning that one. So ultimately, let me know who you got from the national championship in the comments below, and who you think can make that run all the way to the Final Four. Let me know what your bracket's sitting at. Was a bit of a tough round of 32 for me in the bracket piece there. I had Texas Tech, I had UCLA, I had Florida, I had Virginia. So unfortunately lost a couple there. But with that being said, thank you all so much for listening, and I will see you all in the next episode.